Shalom everyone. We're in the second part of the Kuzari class and the second worksheet that I sent out regarding the Kuzari. And this is when the Kuzari says, I don't have any other options. I talked to a philosopher, didn't like what he had to say. I talked to a Christian, didn't like what he had to say. I talked to the Muslim, I didn't like what he had to say. I'm stuck. Okay, I'll call in the Jew. So he calls in the Jew. And the Jew, just to notice, in this book, he's called the Chaver, the friend. He's not called the Yehudi. He's not called, although the philosopher is called the philosophe, and the Christian and Muslim were called by the names of their religions. The Jew is called HaChaver. Interesting. You can look it up why. I'll leave that up for you to you. And he calls in the Jew and he says, excuse me, is what is your religion based upon? What is the basis of your religion? And the Chaver says the following. He says, I believe in the God who brought us out of Egypt through Nisim, miracles and wonders, brought us through the Red Sea, split the sea for us, gave man to the Jewish nation for 40 years of the wilderness, and we received the Torah through Moshe during the time that we were in the desert. And really the Kuzari is quite surprised. The king of Kuzar is very surprised. He says, you said something different than all the other people before you. Why didn't you say that you believe in God that created the world, created me, created you, created people, created everything? Why don't you base your belief on the creation of the world? Why do you say that you believe in the God that brought us out of Egypt, that brought the Jewish nation out of Egypt with miracles and sustained them in the 40 years of the wilderness? Why not base it on Briat HaOlam, on the creation of the world? And by the way, this is very relevant right up for Pesach. If you see this for Pesach, you might have an idea for your Seder night. And the Chaver answers the king of Kuzar, and he says the following. He says, first of all, well, that's what Moshe said to Paro. When Moshe came to Paro, he said, Ko amar Hashem Elokei Ephraim. This is what the God said, the God of the Jews. The Jews meaning Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were prophets, and that was well known at the time. And he didn't say Ko amar Hashem Elokei Hashamayim va'aretz. He didn't say this is what God said, the creator of heavens and earth. And also in Mamad Har Sinai, the 10 Commandments, how do they start? Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Hotziticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mi'beit avadim. I am God who brought you out of Egypt. It doesn't say Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher barati shamayim va'aretz. I'm God who created heaven and earth. That's not what it says. The basis of our emunah is Yetziat Mitzrayim. The basis, the fundamental belief, or the fundamental event. Sorry, not a belief. The fundamental event that is the basis of our connection to God, and the basis of our religion is Yetziat Mitzrayim. And that is because Yetziat Mitzrayim is something that happened to all of Am Yisrael. They saw it clearly. They with their own eyes. They didn't have to hear somebody that said something that he heard from somebody else. No, it was they experienced it themselves. They all came out of Egypt. They all saw the 10 plagues. They all saw the Kriyat Yam Suf. They all experienced Mamad Har Sinai. They all ate the man. They all saw Hashem's providence through the 40 years of the wilderness. They all experienced it firsthand. And then they passed that on in tradition and transmission from generation to generation, their own personal experiences, which that in itself is also as similar as you can get to actual experiencing it firsthand. It's not that one person experienced it by himself and then told other people that had no idea what he was talking about. It's that an entire nation experienced it, and then every person told his son and their grandchildren, and their grandchildren, that yes, my great, he was there. He himself was there. and I can trace the lineage back to Yetziat Mitzrayim, knowing that Am Yisrael was actually there, and that my great-great-great-grandfather was actually there, great-great-great-grandmother was also actually there, actually experiencing the wonders of the connection with Ribbono Shel Olam. Once the king says that, once the king understands that the basis of the Jewish religion is Yetziat Mitzrayim and not the creation of the world, then the king concludes, and that means that the Judaism is only obligational for Jews, because the Kuzari people, other people, did not experience Yetziat Mitzrayim, and therefore they're not bound by the Torah. And the Chaver agrees. He said, "You're right. Only the Torah is binding only for Am Yisrael. The Torah is not binding, is not obligational for other nations. People that want to join, either because they think it's a good idea or because whatever, they want to become gerim, they want to convert, labriot, they're welcome to come. But there's no outgoing search for converts, and there's no outgoing search to say that everybody has to believe in the Torah. If it is true that Hashem created everyone, all people on the earth and everything on the earth and in all the universe, Hashem created. And if the Torah would have said, Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher barati shamayim va'aretz, I am God who created heavens and earth, then the Torah apparently would have been obligational to everyone, because everyone is part of the creation. But that's not what it says. The Torah only is obligational for Am Yisrael, because the basis of the Torah is Yetziat Mitzrayim, and Am Yisrael was chosen as a special nation amongst the nations, and therefore the Torah is binding only to Am Yisrael. And then the Chaver, he describes the different levels and of things that exist in this world, and he signs the differences and the similarities between them. The first one doesn't not appear on the chart, is what's called the domem, things that are inanimate, they're just there, rocks, plastic, I don't know, things that don't have any type of growth or life or eating or reproduction, nothing. They're just there. A rock is a rock. That's the lowest level. The second level, here it's number 1 on the page, it's tzomech. Tzomech is things that grow, meaning trees and plants. And that's what's called ha'inyan ha'tiv'i, the natural issue. And that means that plants, they reproduce and they have to eat and they grow, and it exists. This idea, not the ideas, these characteristics, they appear with plants and also with animals and human beings, right? Because animals and human beings also eat and they reproduce and they grow. The second level here on the chart is called chai, things that live, and what he calls the Chaver calls it ha'inyan hanafshi. The soul issue, the soul thing, means that movement and willpower, or things that we want something, and senses and instincts, they all exist, and they exist both with both animals and human beings. It's not with the inanimate and the tzomeach, the plants, the things that grow, plants and trees. The third level is what's called medaber, those that speak, meaning human beings. It's called inyan hasichli, the intellect, apparently. And the intellect brings people to have good midot and have good values, and to have some sort of family. They have a family, and the family gives values, and they have a state, and the state has values, and they make laws, and they live together in a society according to certain laws, and that is, human beings have that. The inanimate things, the domem, the tzomeach, the things that grow, and the chai, the animals are not part of that. And he said there is a fourth level. There's another level that's beyond that. And at first, so he says to the Kuzari, do you know what the fourth level is, what the top level is? So he says that it's a philosopher. The king says it's a philosopher. The Chaver says, no, I'm not talking about somebody who's just really, really smart. It's like talking about somebody who's really, really tall. It doesn't make him have his own separate level. We're talking about a separate level. There's a separate level. The animals are not just sophisticated plants, and a human is not just a sophisticated animal. It's a totally different level. And he says there's a totally different level. And that level is someone who can go into fire and survive. And he can not eat or drink for 40 days and survive. And he can know the future and know the far past just by connecting to God. And therefore, that is a totally, totally different level. And that level, he says, that's what the prophet has. He says those are some of the characteristics of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was on a totally, totally different level than all other human beings. It's not that he was just a human being and a little bit smarter, a human being and a I don't know, just a better type of human being. No, he says something totally different. He could do things that other human beings just cannot do, and therefore this level exists with Moshe Rabbeinu, but not with the rest, and maybe some of the other Nevi'im that reached that part somehow got close to that level, but definitely not with that level is not existent at the rest of humanity. This is the end of the second worksheet. Next one, Bezrat Hashem, next time.